Welcome back. This channel exists because of your support. Subscribe, hit like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Now let's get into the story. I was sitting at our kitchen table on a Tuesday evening in October, finishing up some code reviews on my laptop, when Melissa came home carrying a leather portfolio case. That should have been my first clue. My wife doesn't carry portfolio cases. She carries a designer handbag, sometimes a work tote, but never anything that formal. The rain was hammering against the windows, and the townhouse smelled like the Thai takeout I'd picked up an hour earlier. I looked up as she set the case on the table with an almost ceremonial care, like she was presenting evidence in a courtroom. "We need to talk," she said, sliding into the chair across from me. I closed my laptop. "Okay, what's up?" "I've been working with my life coach on us," she said, unzipping the portfolio. "On our marriage. And I've put together something that I think will really help." She pulled out a document printed on heavy, expensive-looking paper. No, not just printed. Laminated. She'd actually laminated it. And she had a small acrylic stand, the kind you'd use to display a menu at a restaurant, which she set up carefully on the table between us. The title at the top read, "Our Marriage, Non-Negotiable Standards for Andrew." "I thought it would help if we had clear expectations," she said, her tone taking on that professional quality she got when she was in full marketing director mode. My coach helped me identify exactly what a healthy partnership needs. These are just basic standards, really. I picked up the document and started reading. The list beneath the title was numbered, each item in neat, sans serif font. 1. Attend all social functions without complaint. 2. Maintain fitness level, gym 4 times per week minimum. 3. Respond to texts within 30 minutes during work hours. 4. Keep facial hair groomed to professional standard, no beards. The list continued down the page. Number 5 was about contributing to our social media presence with couple photos weekly. Number 7 specified date nights twice monthly at restaurants with a minimum cost of $100 per person. Number 10 required me to share my location at all times via phone app. I kept reading. Number 12 suggested I maintain conversation skills by reading current events daily. Number 14 said I should keep my political opinions aligned with hers publicly. Number 16 required me to consult her before making any purchase over $50. By the time I reached number 17, which demanded I present a unified front to all family members, I was looking at something far more comprehensive than a list of helpful suggestions. This was a contract. A contract for me to become someone else entirely. "So," Melissa said, leaning forward slightly, her face expectant, "what do you think? I know it seems detailed, but I really think having clear standards will eliminate so much confusion. We'll both know exactly what's expected." "This is very thorough," I said carefully, setting the laminated sheet back on its stand. "I worked on it for 3 weeks," she said, and I could hear the pride in her voice. "My coach helped me identify each area. These are just the basics of what a healthy partnership needs. Communication, right? You always said you wanted better communication." "They're all about me," I said. "Well, yes. You asked what you could do to make me happier. This is me being clear about that. That's what you wanted, isn't it? Clarity?" I looked at the document again, then at her. She was watching me like she'd just given me a gift and was waiting for me to open it with the appropriate level of gratitude and enthusiasm. "Can I have some time to think about this?" I asked. "Of course," she said, smiling. "Take all the time you need. I know it's a lot to process." I picked up the laminated list and carried it upstairs to my home office. Once inside, I closed the door and sat down at my desk. Then I read through it again, this time with a pen, making small notes in the margins of a notepad. Item 1 through 17. 17 specific requirements. 17 ways I apparently needed to change. I started looking for balance. For any item that might say "we should" or "I will," there were none. Every single line was about what I needed to do, what I needed to become, how I needed to behave. Not one item asked what she might change. Not one suggestion that perhaps our marriage was a two-way street where both people might need to adjust. I sat back in my chair and stared at the laminated document under my desk lamp. The lamination made it look official, permanent, like a posted sign in an office building. Rules and regulations. That's when the clarity hit me. This wasn't about improving our marriage. This was about her defining the terms of my existence. And if I accepted this, if I nodded and agreed and started working through her checklist, I was agreeing to those terms. I was agreeing that my role in this marriage was to become whoever she needed me to be. The question wasn't whether these items were reasonable. The question was whether I wanted to be in a marriage where one person handed the other person a laminated list of requirements and expected compliance. I opened a new document on my computer and typed a single header, my non-negotiables. Below it, I added one line. 1. File for divorce. I printed it, folded it to match the way she'd presented hers, and sat there for a moment with it in my hands. Was this too extreme? Too fast? We'd been married for 12 years. Shouldn't I at least try to talk through this more? But I'd seen enough. This list wasn't the beginning of a problem. It was evidence of a pattern I'd been too close to see clearly. And if I didn't draw a line now, I never would. I went back downstairs. Melissa was on the couch, watching something on Netflix, looking pleased with herself. When she saw me coming down with my own piece of paper, her eyebrows went up. "Did you want to talk about the list?" she asked, muting the television. "I made my own list," I said. "I thought it might be helpful for you to see my perspective too." I handed her the folded paper. She opened it eagerly, probably expecting to see my thoughts on her suggestions, or maybe my own areas where I thought she could improve. Instead, she found my single-line item. She stared at it for a long moment. Then she looked up at me. "Is this a joke?" "No," I said calmly. "You wanted to be clear about non-negotiables. That's mine." "This isn't a non-negotiable," she said, her voice rising. "This is ending the marriage." "Exactly," I said. "That's the only standard I'm going to meet." She stood up quickly, the paper crumpling slightly in her hand. "You can't be serious. I give you clear guidance on how to be a better partner, and you respond with divorce." "You didn't give me guidance," I said. "You gave me an ultimatum to become someone else. 17 specific ways I need to change to keep this marriage. Show me one item on your list that's about you changing." She opened her mouth, then closed it. For several seconds, she just stared at me. "That's the problem," I said. "You're being ridiculous," she said, her voice sharp now. "I was trying to help us. This is exactly why we need clear communication. You're taking this completely wrong." "I'm taking it exactly right," I said. "You made a list of who you want me to be. That person isn't me. So we should probably end this now before we waste more time trying to turn me into him." She called me dramatic, said I was overreacting, said a lot of things. Then she went upstairs to our bedroom and slammed the door. I stayed in the living room, listening to the rain against the windows. For the first time in years, maybe ever, I felt completely clear about something. I grabbed a blanket from the closet and settled onto the couch for the night. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of coffee. Melissa was in the kitchen, already dressed for work, and she'd made coffee for both of us. She never made me coffee. That alone told me everything I needed to know about what kind of day this was going to be. "We should talk about your overreaction last night," she said, handing me a mug as I sat down at the table. "I didn't overreact," I said. I responded. "The list was just suggestions, really," she said, sitting across from me with her own coffee. "I think you misunderstood the spirit of it." I pulled her laminated document from where I'd left it on the counter. "It's titled Non-Negotiable Standards. That's not suggestions. That's demands." "You're being deliberately difficult," she said. "I'm being clear," I said. "There's a difference." I set the laminated list on the table between us and pointed to item number 4. "When did you decide I couldn't have facial hair?" "It looks unprofessional," she said. "For whose profession? Mine or yours?" She didn't answer. "I'm a software architect," I continued. "I work with people who wear hoodies and haven't shaved in months. Nobody cares about my facial hair. So this isn't about my profession. This is about you wanting me to look a certain way. Your way. And I work for a company with flexible schedules. As long as I hit my deadlines, nobody cares when or where I work." "That's not." "And number 10, I said, pointing to it. "Share location at all times via phone app. That's not trust building. That's surveillance." "It's for safety," she protested. "It's for control," I said. "And you know what? Maybe you don't see it that way. Maybe you genuinely think these are reasonable standards. But that's exactly the problem. You think you get to set standards for how I exist." I stood up, poured the coffee down the sink, and grabbed my keys. "I need to get to work." "We're not done talking about this," she called after me. "We've been done for a while," I said. "I just didn't realize it until last night." That afternoon, while I was in a meeting at work, my phone buzzed. "Melissa calling." I let it go to voicemail. It buzzed again 2 minutes later. Then again. I texted her. In meeting, we'll call at lunch. She responded immediately. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I stared at that message for a long time. Then I realized something. The list wasn't about the future. It was an indictment of the present. She'd been keeping score for years, cataloging every way I failed to meet her unspoken expectations. And now she'd written them all down and laminated them. The next day, Thursday, I left work early and drove to a law office on Atlantic Avenue. The lawyer, Roger Patterson, was younger than I expected, maybe 40, with the kind of calm competence that probably cost $200 an hour. So you're looking at an uncontested divorce, he said after I'd explained the situation and shown him both documents. I hope so, I said. He looked at her laminated list, then at my single-item response, and smiled slightly. I've seen versions of this before. Control disguised as care. The question is whether she'll contest it once she realizes you're serious. She'll realize I'm serious, I said. We discussed assets. The townhouse was in both our names. We both had cars, both financed. Savings accounts, checking accounts, retirement funds. Nothing particularly complicated. No kids, which would make things simpler. Timeline is 30 days after you file for her to respond, he said. Then we go from there. If it's truly uncontested, could be finalized in 4 to 6 months. I scheduled a follow-up appointment for the following week to file the papers. When I got home that evening, Melissa had cooked dinner. An elaborate dinner. Salmon, roasted vegetables, homemade bread. She rarely cooked. I thought we could talk reasonably, she said as I came into the kitchen. I sat down at the table. Okay, let's talk. What would you change about yourself? She was quiet for a long moment. I'm not the one with the problem. Then we don't have anything to talk about, I said. Over the weekend, things got stranger. On Saturday morning, Melissa showed up at the gym. My gym. The one I'd been going to alone for 3 years while she went to her boutique fitness studio across town. I thought we could work out together, she said, appearing next to me while I was on the bench press. I sat up. You hate this gym. I want to show up for you, she said. For us. We worked out in awkward silence. She took a selfie of us by the weights and posted it to Instagram. The caption read, "Partnership is showing up for each other," with a flexed bicep emoji and a heart. Later, at home, I asked her, "Are you enjoying this?" Enjoying what? The performance. The coffee making, the cooking, the gym visits. Are you actually enjoying any of it? Or are you just trying to demonstrate something? She didn't answer. On Sunday, she suggested we go to the Museum of Fine Arts. We drove there mostly in silence, walked through the galleries mostly in silence. She took photos at every exhibit. More Instagram posts. Sundays with my favorite person with a heart emoji. In the car on the way home, I asked, "Were you looking at the art or just at photo opportunities?" "Both," she said, but her voice was defensive. "I don't think you were," I said. "I think you were performing what you think togetherness looks like. That's not the same as actually being together." On Monday evening, she presented me with another document. This one wasn't laminated. "I made a new list," she said. "Things I'm working on to improve our marriage." I took it from her and read through it. 5 items this time. Show more interest in your hobbies. Be less critical in my communication. Plan more quality time together. Express appreciation more often. Listen without immediately problem solving. These are all about how you interact with me. I said. "Yes," she said. "I'm working on my approach. But not on whether your expectations themselves are the problem," I said. "You still think the issue is just that you communicated them poorly. You don't see that the expectations are the problem." "My expectations are normal," she said. I picked up her original list again. Number 10 says I need to share my location with you at all times. That's not normal. That's surveillance. It's trust building. "No," I said. "Trust is not needing to track someone. Trust is believing they're where they say they are because you trust them." She was quiet. "You want to know what would actually help?" I asked. "Yes. Ask yourself why you need to manage my existence." There was a long silence. "I'm not managing you," she said finally. "Then what do you call 17 standards for how I should be?" The next Tuesday, 9 days after she'd first presented me with her list, her best friend Kelly showed up at our door unannounced. "Melissa asked me to talk to you," Kelly said. "We went to a restaurant in the Seaport District, one of those new places with exposed brick and reclaimed wood tables." I was curious what Melissa had told her. She says you're threatening divorce over a simple misunderstanding, Kelly said once we'd ordered. Did she show you the list? I asked. She mentioned she tried to set some boundaries. I pulled out my phone and showed her the photo I'd taken of the laminated document. Kelly read through it, her expression changing from sympathetic to confused to troubled. Oh, she said. This is detailed. She called them non-negotiable standards for me to keep the marriage, I said. Kelly was quiet for a long moment. Did she make one for herself? No. She set my phone down. Look, I'm supposed to be here to talk you out of divorce. But honestly, this is a lot. Melissa's always been a planner, but this is more like a performance review than marriage advice. Exactly, I said. Kelly admitted something then. She said Melissa constantly compared me to other husbands. Kelly's husband does this. Jenna's boyfriend does that. Always holding me up against some composite ideal. I thought she was just venting, Kelly said. But maybe she's been building a profile of a perfect husband that isn't you. Maybe she wants to be married to this theoretical person instead of the actual person she married. When I got home, Melissa asked how dinner with Kelly went. Illuminating, I said. The next day, my brother called. Mom said you and Melissa are having problems. Who told Mom? Melissa called her yesterday. I felt my jaw tighten. What did she say? That you're going through something and being unreasonable about her trying to improve the marriage. Did she mention the laminated list of requirements? What? I explained the situation. My brother was quiet for a while. Dude, that's not normal. That's like a management performance review. Does she realize how controlling that is? Not yet, I said. But she's going to. On Friday, 12 days after the initial conversation, Melissa's sister Jennifer showed up at our townhouse. Jennifer was a therapist, which made the visit particularly interesting. Melissa says you're refusing to work on the marriage, Jennifer said. I showed her the list. She read through it carefully, professionally. Then she looked up at me. Can I talk to my sister privately? They went upstairs for over an hour. When they came back down, Jennifer looked troubled. Melissa, she said carefully, you need to think about what partnership actually means. I know what it means. Melissa said. Do you? Because this isn't it. Melissa turned on her sister. You're supposed to support me. I am, Jennifer said, by telling you the truth. This list isn't about improving a marriage. This is about control. And I say that as your sister and as someone who works with couples. This isn't healthy. After Jennifer left, Melissa didn't speak to me for the rest of the evening. On Monday, I filed the divorce papers. The process was mechanical, impersonal. Forms and signatures and fees. The lawyer gave me copies to serve Melissa. You can have these served by a process server, or you can deliver them yourself, he said. I'll deliver them, I said. She should hear it from me. I brought them home that evening in a manila envelope. Melissa was in the kitchen, on the phone with her mother. When she saw the envelope, she ended the call quickly. What's that? Divorce papers, I said. You have 30 days to respond. She opened the envelope with shaking hands. Read through the documents. Her face went pale. You actually filed. I told you I would. I thought you were bluffing. Trying to scare me into, I don't know, withdrawing the list or something. Withdrawing the list wouldn't fix the problem, I said. The problem is you think you should have a list in the first place. She started crying. Real crying, not the performative kind. I don't want to get divorced. Then you need to understand why we're here. Because you're being stubborn. No. Because you tried to contract me into being someone else. Because you made a list of 17 ways I'm insufficient and expected me to be grateful for the clarity. Over the next few days, Melissa cycled through strategies. On Tuesday, she asked, what if I cut the list in half? It's not about the number of items, I said. Then what? It's about you thinking you get to define who I am. On Wednesday, she said, I'll throw the whole list away. We start fresh. And in 6 months, when you're frustrated that I don't meet your unspoken standards, then what? I won't do that. You will. Because you don't see the pattern yet. On Thursday, she suggested couples therapy. To learn what? I asked. Better ways for you to tell me I'm insufficient. That's not fair. Is it not? That's what the list says. 17 ways I'm not enough as I am. By the weekend, her approach shifted from bargaining to anger. On Saturday morning, she said, I'm the only one trying to save this marriage. You're trying to save a version of the marriage where you're the manager and I'm the employee, I said. That's a horrible thing to say. It's an accurate thing to say. Show me where I'm wrong. She stormed out, spent the night at her sister's house. On Sunday, she came back different. Quieter. More vulnerable. 12 years together, and you're throwing it away over one mistake, she said, her eyes red. It's not one mistake, I said. It's a pattern I only just recognized. What pattern? I sat her down and walked through the history I'd been piecing together. 3 years ago, she'd suggested, I changed my hairstyle, brought me photos of celebrities to show me what she meant. 2 years ago, she'd booked me a personal stylist as a birthday surprise without asking if I wanted one. Last year, she'd signed me up for networking events in her industry, gotten upset when I didn't attend. 6 months ago, she'd rewritten my LinkedIn profile to help. These aren't individual mistakes, I said. They're a campaign to remake me. You've been trying to optimize me like I'm a product that needs better branding. I was trying to help you reach your potential, she said quietly. Whose potential? Mine or the one you invented? The next week was rough. Melissa canceled our shared gym membership. She removed me from her Instagram photos. She changed her Facebook status to "It's complicated." I got texts from mutual friends asking what happened. I didn't respond to most of them. On Tuesday evening, our couple friends Tom and Rachel invited us both to dinner. It was awkward. Everyone trying to be neutral, trying to figure out what was happening without taking sides. Rachel pulled me aside while Tom was paying the check. Melissa said you gave her an ultimatum. She gave me an ultimatum, I said. I just responded to it. I showed Rachel the photo of the list. Her face went through the same journey Kelly's had. Sympathy to confusion to concern. Oh, she said. Wow. That's really specific. Tom saw it too. Man, that's not okay. That's like a contract for how you're allowed to be. Exactly, I said. On Wednesday, Melissa's mother called me. Melissa says you're refusing counseling. That's not accurate, I said. I'm refusing to pretend the problem is fixable without her understanding what the problem actually is. Marriage takes work, she said. It does, I agreed. But work means both people working on the relationship, not one person trying to rebuild the other person. On Thursday, I found Melissa in the kitchen with her laptop, surrounded by printed articles. She was researching how to save a marriage when your spouse wants divorce. I'm taking this seriously, she said, showing me a notebook full of notes. I sat down. What have you learned? That I need to show you I'm committed to change. And what needs to change? Long pause. My approach. To what? To feedback. Try again. Another pause. She looked genuinely confused. I don't know what you want me to say. I want you to see what you can't see yet, I said. That weekend, I told Melissa I was staying at my brother's place for a few days. You're leaving? She asked, panic in her voice. We both need space to think without performing for each other. I'm not performing. You made me breakfast yesterday, I said. You haven't made me breakfast in 4 years. That's performing. I packed a bag and left. At my brother's apartment in Cambridge, I felt something I hadn't felt in our townhouse in months. Relief. We watched a hockey game, ordered pizza, had normal conversation. I wasn't tense. I wasn't monitoring my behavior. I wasn't waiting for criticism. Meanwhile, back at home, something was happening with Melissa. She told me later that she'd sat alone in the townhouse, looking at her laminated list, looking at the social media posts she'd made. Something started shifting. On Tuesday, she texted me. Can we talk? Really talk? About what? I've been thinking about what you said. About patterns. Okay. When? Tomorrow evening? I'd moved back to the townhouse a few days earlier. We needed to coexist while we figured this out, even if it meant occupying separate spaces under the same roof. We met the next day at a coffee shop on Newberry Street. Neutral ground. Melissa looked different. Tired. Less put together than usual. I made a list, she said, and I felt my stomach drop. Wait, she said quickly. Not that kind of list. A list of times I tried to change you. She showed me her notebook. 23 specific incidents over 12 years. The hairstyle. The clothes. The stylist. The LinkedIn profile. More I'd forgotten or hadn't even registered as attempts to change me. Why did you write this down? I asked. Because you asked me what the pattern was. I couldn't answer, so I went looking for it. What did you find? That I've been treating you like a draft that needed revisions. Like you were a work in progress instead of a finished person. It was the first genuine admission I'd heard from her. Over the next week, Melissa tried to change, but she still didn't fully understand. She stopped giving unsolicited advice. She asked permission before planning things. But it was still performative. She was following new rules, not understanding the principle. On Friday, she said proudly, "I didn't comment on your shirt today. Why would you need to comment on my shirt? I used to tell you when your clothes didn't match well. I know. That's part of the problem. But I'm stopping. You're not understanding why you started." On Sunday, we had dinner together. She asked first. Throughout the meal, I could see her visibly restraining herself from comments. "What were you about to say?" I asked. "Nothing, Melissa. Just that. There's a better way to cut that chicken, but I'm not supposed to comment." "Do you hear yourself?" I asked. "I'm trying." "You're trying not to say controlling things. That's different from understanding why they're controlling in the first place." The breaking point came on a Thursday, 40 days after I'd filed for divorce. Melissa called me at work, crying hard. "Can you come home?" I left early, found her in the living room, makeup ruined from crying. "I called my life coach," she said. "Okay." I was telling her about us, about the divorce, about how you're being unreasonable about a simple list meant to improve our marriage. And she asked to see the list, so I sent it to her. Pause. She dropped me as a client. What? She said she couldn't in good conscience coach someone who thought that list was appropriate, that she was sorry, but she couldn't help me because I needed a different kind of help first. Melissa broke down completely. "Even my coach thinks I'm wrong. My sister thinks I'm wrong. Our friends think I'm wrong. And you think I'm wrong." She sobbed. "Am I wrong?" I said quietly, "Yes." "About what?" "About what a marriage is supposed to be." The next day, Friday, Melissa asked, "Will you help me understand?" "I don't think I can," I said. "I think you need to find it yourself." "How?" "Start with this question. Why did you make that list?" "To improve our marriage." "Try again. Why did you think our marriage needed those specific improvements?" Long silence. "Because I wasn't happy." "Why weren't you happy?" "Because you weren't the way I needed you to be." "Keep going." "I needed you to be different." "Why?" She started crying again. "I don't know." Over the weekend, Melissa started journaling. On Sunday, she showed me pages of writing. "I've been trying to figure out when it started," she said. "The need to fix you. What have you found?" "I think it was always there. Even when we were dating. I had this vision of a better version of you. I thought that's what love was. Helping someone become their best self." "But who defines best?" I asked. "I did. I always did." In the following week, Melissa started recognizing the pattern extended beyond me. She told me about her assistant at work, how she constantly coached her. Her younger sister, how she always gave unsolicited advice. Her parents. "My mom used to make lists for my dad," she said one evening. "What kind of lists?" "Honey-do lists. But not just chores. Behaviors. Ways he should be different." "How did he respond?" "He just did them. Quietly did whatever she asked." "Did they seem happy?" Long pause. "No. They seemed like roommates who tolerated each other." "Is that what you want for us?" "No. God, no." On Friday, 55 days after I'd filed, Melissa asked me to meet for coffee again. Same shop, same table. "I need to tell you something," she said. "Okay. I think I've been trying to turn you into my father." "Explain." "My dad was quiet. Let my mom run everything. Never objected, never pushed back. I thought that's what a good husband was. Someone who just accommodates. Someone who molds themselves to what their wife needs." "That's not partnership," I said. "That's surrender." "I know that now. But I thought it was devotion. I thought that's what love looked like." Then she said something that surprised me. "When you pushed back, when you filed for divorce, part of me was angry. But another part was relieved. Relieved that you wouldn't just disappear into what I wanted. That you're actually yourself. A person, not just my husband-shaped object." It was the first time she'd valued my separateness instead of trying to eliminate it. Over the next few weeks, I started seeing changed behavior without prompting. On a Sunday, we ran into each other at the Museum of Science. We'd gone separately. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "I come here sometimes." "You?" "I actually wanted to see the robotics exhibit, not photograph it for Instagram." We walked through together. She didn't perform, just was present. On a Wednesday, she knocked on my home office door. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "That AI architecture project you've been excited about. Can you explain it to me?" "You've never wanted to hear about my work before." "I know. I thought it was boring. But I thought that because it was yours, not mine. I think I'd actually like to understand it." I explained for 20 minutes. She asked genuine questions. No coaching. No improvement suggestions. Just curiosity. On a Saturday, she said, I'm meeting Kelly and Jenna for lunch. Want me to be back by 3? Why 3? I don't know. I just always tell you my schedule. Do you want to be back by 3? Honestly, probably more like 5. We haven't really talked in a while. So stay until 5. Or 6. Or whenever. You don't need to know when I'll be home. I trust you'll come home when you're ready. I don't need to track it. Visible shift in her face. I really did put that on the list, didn't I? The location sharing. Item 10. That's insane. Why did I think that was normal? On Monday, 72 days after filing, Melissa said, I found a therapist. For couples therapy? No. For me. Individual. What made you decide that? I need to figure out why I'm like this. Not just change behaviors, but understand where it comes from. I'm proud of you, I said. For what? For doing the hard thing. The real thing. After her third therapy session, she came home quiet and thoughtful. My therapist asked me to describe you, she said. What did you say? I started listing things you do wrong. Habits that bother me. And she stopped me. Said, I didn't ask what he does wrong. I asked who he is. Could you answer? Not at first. I've spent so much time cataloging your flaws I couldn't remember your actual personality. Did you figure it out? I'm trying. Tell me something you love that has nothing to do with me. The engineering problem solving, I said. Losing myself in code architecture. Building systems that work elegantly. I've been resenting that. Your work focus. I know, but it's who you are. You're a builder. You think in systems. I've been trying to dismantle that. Make you more social, more available. I've been trying to take away the thing that makes you yourself. On a Tuesday, she brought home a book. My therapist recommended this. The title was Differentiation in Marriage, Being Yourself While Staying Connected. I thought that was a contradiction, she said. How can you be fully yourself and fully committed? What do you think now? That maybe that's the whole point. You can't really be committed if you're not yourself. On Saturday, 85 days after filing, we were in the kitchen making dinner together. Actually together, not one person cooking while the other watched. Can I ask you something? Melissa said. Always. If we withdrew the divorce papers, would you want to? I stopped chopping vegetables. That depends. On what? On whether you understand why we got here. I think I do. Tell me. She gathered her thoughts. We got here because I confused control with love. Because I thought my job was to perfect you instead of accept you. Because I couldn't tell the difference between helping you grow and erasing who you are. Because I made you a project instead of a partner. And what would be different? I would be different. Not because you're asking me to be. Because I need to be. How? I'd have to learn to let you be yourself. Even when it's not what I pictured. Even when it's uncomfortable for me. Even when you make choices I wouldn't make. Could you do that? I don't know. But I want to try. Really try, not perform trying. What if you can't? Then the divorce was the right call. And I'd accept that. I looked at her face. Exhaustion, vulnerability, uncertainty. Not the confident marketing director from 3 months ago. Someone different. Someone more honest. I'm willing to try, I said. Under conditions. What conditions? 1. You continue individual therapy. Non-negotiable. Okay. 2. We also do couples therapy. But not to fix me. To learn to actually be married to each other. Agreed. 3. The papers stay filed until we're both certain. This one hurt her, I could see it. But she nodded. And 4. First time you make another list of requirements, we sign them immediately. Done. We started couples therapy on a Thursday with Dr. Rebecca Harding in Cambridge. In the first session, she had us each describe the other. I described Melissa as intelligent, driven, organized, someone who struggled with uncertainty. Melissa described me as steady, thoughtful, an internal processor who valued authenticity. Dr. Harding said, neither of you described the other as broken. That's good. That's where we start. She gave us homework. This week, I want you each to ask the other, what do you need from me today? Every day? And accept the answer without trying to improve it. On Thursday morning, Melissa asked, what do you need from me today? I thought about it. Space to work on this project. It's at a critical phase. Her instinct, I could see, was to ask questions, engage, be involved. What she did instead, okay, let me know if that changes. Thank you. I said, surprised. For what? For not trying to be part of it. For letting it just be mine. That's hard for me. I know. That's why it means something. On Saturday, 98 days after filing, Melissa brought out the original laminated list. I want to do something with this, she said. What? Burn it. We went to our small back patio. She tried to light it with matches, but the lamination wouldn't catch. I got the charcoal lighter fluid. We watched it melt and burn, acrid black smoke rising. I should feel relieved, Melissa said. But I actually feel scared. Why scared? Because that list was a roadmap. Without it, I don't know what to do. That's the point, I said. You figure it out as you go. We both do. What if I mess up? You will mess up. So will I? That's marriage. That's terrifying. Yeah, but it's real. On Sunday, we had a lazy morning. Both reading in the living room. Me in my chair with a technical manual, Melissa on the couch with a novel. Hours passed in comfortable silence. No performance. No agenda. No improvement. Just existing in the same space. In the afternoon, we cooked together. I wanted to try a new recipe. Melissa started to suggest a better way to dice the onions, then caught herself. Sorry, your onions are fine. You can tell me if there's a better way, I said. Just not the only way. There's a difference. Huge difference. Sharing technique versus demanding compliance. How do I tell which I'm doing? Ask yourself, am I helping them or fixing them? On Monday morning, Melissa said, I got promoted. Senior director. That's amazing. Congratulations. Thanks. It means longer hours though. Okay. Just okay. What else would it be? She smiled slightly. The old me would have decided you should feel a certain way about it. Supportive, but slightly concerned. Hinting I should turn it down. And now I'm asking, are you excited about it? Very. Then I'm excited for you. Period. See, I said. That's growth. That evening, I said, I called the lawyer today. Her face went pale. And I asked him to draw up withdrawal papers for the divorce. She exhaled. Really? Really? With one addition. What addition? A post-nuptial agreement. Saying what? That if either of us ever feels like we're trying to change the other instead of accept them, we commit to 6 months of intensive therapy before any ultimatums. I want to legally bind us to awareness, to not sliding back into old patterns. I'll sign that, she said. 2 weeks later, we were at Suffolk County Courthouse, filing withdrawal of the divorce petition and signing the post-nuptial agreement. Melissa's hand shook slightly as she signed. You okay? I asked. I'm terrified I'll mess this up. You probably will sometimes. That's not comforting. It should be. Because I'll mess up too. And we'll figure it out. That's the actual deal. 6 weeks after that decision, in early January, we were back at the same kitchen table where this all started. I was working on my laptop. Melissa came home late from a work event, collapsed in the chair across from me. Long night. I asked. Networking thing. Exhausting. I got up, poured her a glass of wine, sat back down. Thank you, she said. We sat in comfortable silence. Then she said, Can I tell you something? Always. I almost made a suggestion about your shirt this morning. What was wrong with my shirt? Nothing. That's my point. Olmi would have found something. Numi recognized it was just a shirt. And you liked it. So it was fine. That's progress. It shouldn't feel like progress. It should feel normal. But it still takes effort. How much effort? Less every day. For months ago, Melissa handed me a laminated list of non-negotiables. 17 ways I needed to change to keep our marriage. I handed her back a single line. File for divorce. She thought I was being dramatic. Throwing away 12 years over one mistake. But it wasn't one mistake. It was a fundamental misunderstanding of what marriage means. The list is gone now. Burned to melted plastic and ash. But sometimes I still see Melissa catch herself mid-suggestion, mid-improvement, mid-management. And then she stops, breathes, lets it go. That's when I know we